Yeah.
Today on the show, I'm excited to welcome Mark Michael, CEO and co-founder of DevHub, the platform behind digital presence for multi-location brands and franchises worldwide. Under his leadership, DevHub has navigated venture funding, acquisitions, and major partnerships. Mark brings sharp insights on leadership, building teams, and scaling in the fast-changing world of online media and technology. We'll explore his journey, lessons learned, and his vision for the future. Mark, welcome.
Again, every time I hear an intro about myself, I got to get better at just being like, thank you. It's great to be here. But I'm just always like, damn, it's crazy. Yes, thank you, Chris.
Can you share a bit about your journey, what led you to start DevHub, and how the company's evolved up to this point?
Okay, listen. So anyone who wants the full story, I try to document as much of it as possible. This is our 18th year come September. So we've been through all the motions from raising money, being broke, 10 years of, or 10,000 hours, whatever the hell you want to call it, of just true pain and suffering, how quickly we forget about all of it when we start to do good in the last 2 years is pretty amazing. And the reason I wanted to document it all is so that no one's like, oh, they just built this company and now it's worth whatever it's worth. So again, if you go to devhub.com/history, it will spell it out from the beginning of 2007 till close to this year. What was the original thesis to where we're at today? The one through line is what the future of a website actually is, and to innovate what websites actually mean. My big, hairy, audacious goal is that the word website gets replaced with the word DevHub, right? Where again, website maybe to the consumer, but for a brand who uses DevHub, it's like, that's it. It just stops there. It's like, oh no, it's all in DevHub. We're good. And that's what's up. And so the founding of it, I'll just go back to when I was 17. I just was one of those people that maybe some of your audience is I just knew I could never work for anybody in my entire life. I saw what other people maybe had done, and I just thought I can do whatever I put my mind to better than them. Now that was just a insane, naive, what's the other word? Naive? Like delusional, maybe psycho to believe that, but I rolled with it. And again, what's weird is I'm 43 for your audience. I started, let's just say at 17, but let's just say this company when I was whatever, 24, 23. And I still have the same level of ambition as I did at 17. And I'll tell you at 43, I'm still younger than most of my peers. And again, I'm not talking about the 1% of Zuckerberg and others. I'm talking about in the mass. You're still younger than most.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So this started back in 2007, you said, is that right?
Say it again.
You started back in 2007?
DevHub.
Wow. So take me through some of those time periods, because I know you kind of gave us this vision of a hard fought fight for sure back in 2007. And like, what were those time periods where you saw crazy success and crazy lows, like the highs and lows? We had what during 2009, I remember that was kind of like the markets were going pretty nuts with like the housing. What was DevHub looking like at that point?
So that was a weird period. I mean, that was so 2009 was interesting because again, we were what, 23, 24. We just raised a little bit over $1 million. We thought we were rich. All of our investors were like, hey, you need to be cool. Like something's wrong with the market right now. And we're like, F you don't know what you're talking about. We got money in the bank. We expanded our offices. We hired like, at that time we thought was crazy. Went from like 3 people to 40 kind of almost overnight, or 35, whatever it was. And then sure enough, 6 months later, the money was out and we were like, oh, okay, now what? And so, uh, but again, we just like, we showed up. And again, like it's such a, you've heard it before, you've heard it a million times in different business lectures, books, whatnot. Like there was no special power. We had, I'll say it like this, maybe the first time, I don't know. We've worked alongside of very educated people, right? They went to the right schools, they had the right connections. And in those dark hours, they don't show up because there's no book written about what you do when there's no money to make payroll in 3 days, 2 days, 1 week, 2 weeks. And so that's where I think the real entrepreneurship starts, not, I'm going to do this CAC, blah, blah, all the buzzwords that people say, we're going to raise at this valuation. It's like, shut the F up, man. Build your company and like be real, right? But again,
Yeah.
everyone has to go through their motions. I see people 50 plus making mistakes I made when I was 23. And I'm just like, whoa, crazy, right? And it's like, I think everything had to happen for DevHub to be the company it is in the timeline that it happened in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't think we could have done it any other way at this point. So I don't really regret it, but it was miserable.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for digging deep and sharing a little bit more about that. I mean, I remember that market was crazy. So you had this kind of like funding event, you you lose it, you get scrappy, and then you head into like let's fast forward into during that like next decade, what happened then like to pull out of this?
So essentially, there was a series of three, I would say, pivots, right? So the thing that we initially built that had to do with, let's just call it, there was a period of automated websites, which is like, how do we build websites at scale without having human interaction? Then there was the gamified version of websites. So instead of giving people a million options to build websites, like if you go to Squarespace today or Wix today, it's like, here's all your templates. Da, da, da. You give them one, and until they do the one thing, they don't unlock the next thing. So what we didn't want was a technology where people started but didn't stop building, basically started like a bunch of like hello world WordPress sites. We just didn't want that. So we gamified it. So you had to do one thing to unlock the next thing. But the market we were going after with that tool was not the market that used it. So we were going after, let's just call them bloggers at the time. Instead, we got a bunch of small businesses, which at that point we had no way to monetize a small business because we were going after ad revenue. And what happened was we got a call randomly because we were showing up. We just laid everybody off. I think there was 2 of us, 3 of us, maybe 3 of us at the office at best. Literally phone rings, and it's a huge North American media company who was like, hey, we just read about you guys. We want to offer small business websites to our 30,000 customers. We're like, oh, wow. Yeah. And they're like, can we license it? And we never even heard of the word licensing at that point, but we had no money. So we're like, yeah, let's do it. And then it's like, wait, if there's this one media company, there's got to be a bunch. And media companies, so think like newspaper, radio, TV, Yellow Pages. Again, these are all legacy media companies who have a bunch of advertisers. So not only just selling them ads on TV, but wanting to sell them like digital services, right? So ad unit or ads, websites, more to the small business beyond just cable, beyond just a subscription to newspapers or whatever for again, let's say the car dealership or whatever. They want to sell them more than just like the ad, And so we're like, holy shit, there's all these companies all over the world. Well, I mean, it was a brutal 10 years, like very brutal 10 years, but luckily that world is where we like, I guess, learned our chops or whatever they say, or, and we innovated the hell out of the platform during that period. So, uh, again, what we learned was, again, yes, a lot of templates to walk into a plumber or a car dealership and be like, hey, what do you want us to build? That will, a $90 website, $99 a month website, a $40 a month website will never get built. if you leave it to the customer to decide, period. So one was like, how do you simplify the story? The way you simplify the story is you basically tell them, here's a really pretty designed website, and here's a website that generates leads, aka revenue. What do you want? You decide. So
Yeah.
obviously they're going to choose that. So then the one good thing about legacy media companies is they've had some of the world's largest brands nationally, internationally, but let's just say in the US, large brands, Edward Jones, whatnot, who have been advertising with them for decades. So all of a sudden, a big brand came to one of our media partners and was like, hey, can we build out 14,000 websites in one go? Which is what we had done back in the day. We were like, holy shit, a brand with 14,000 versus individual small business sites? Let's go after brands, but through partners. So we started licensing into another subset of partners, always licensing it. Anyway, long story short, we basically had a bunch of the media companies all over the world. Then we had almost all, in my opinion, all the marketing technologies that serviced brands. And then the pandemic hit, boom. And in the rat race of B2B SaaS, one thing that investors don't like, it seems like, is any version of customer service because it requires humans. And when you have services alongside your tech, it's typically hidden. No one wants to hear about it. So with websites, when the pandemic hit and let's say A&W restaurants or Nectar juice bars or somebody's like, I want to integrate online ordering. Well, some engineer has to build that. And so the people we were licensing to were like, well, we don't want to build that stuff. Right? Like we already licensed them just the simple website. Like we don't want to like do any customization to it. But for us, it's inherent to plug that in. It's DevHub. It all connects. Like it's all good. But they don't want to offer that as a service. That was like the first aha. Second, we bought a company which gave us, again, Nike, Chanel, a bunch of these retail brands where we saw what brands actually valued at a website level. And then we basically decided to go direct about 19 months ago, and it's been like the greatest coming out party of all time. So you take all those 16 plus years of experience, all now focused on the franchise industry. So again, when you think of franchise, what do you think of? A lot of different locations, McDonald's, whatever. Well, each one of those is a separate website, but in one go. And again, that rapid change alongside of AI, agentic, chatbots, DevHub is ready for that world. And so, again, this is either the inflection point, your podcast, is either that inflection point of like, let's see where this goes. Holy shit, we got it early, DevHub, blah, blah, blah. Or you just see it, get acquired. And then it's like, oh, damn it, he sold out.
Not necessarily a bad thing to pass the torch either, though,
Yeah, I mean,
when it
again,
makes sense for you. That's amazing.
yeah, I mean, what I always say about, so again, like here, so I was with a fellow CEO yesterday, actually, here in New York, and he's like, well, what do you want to do with the company? And I said, well, it's really, I guess, twofold. Metaphorical magic wand, build it forever, duh. But more a version of reality would be, we always say we would not mind attaching the DevHub cart to someone else's horse. Now, there's been several suitors over the years who've wanted to acquire us. And that same 17-year-old kid is like, God, we can still do it better than them. And some of the ones who've tried to acquire us have gone under, or have been taken over by their boards. And again, we haven't found the right fit yet. So we're going to continue to grow it.
Well, that's fair, and it's I think a really exciting time. Just kind of transitioning into that, like trends that you're seeing out there. Love to get your take on, the major shifts that you're seeing in the website space right now. For example, I know it sounds like you're honing in on brands and franchise type models, going straight after them. What other major shifts are you seeing?
Again, my pause is more just like a million things come to mind, so I'm just trying to organize it so it doesn't sound insanely chaotic or even conspiracy. So my co-founder is the smarter one of the two of us, right? You have to look at me like the sales marketing battering ram for the company. He's the technologist, he's the chief innovator. He's the reason I can actually be out here talking shit, essentially. So what he says is that the role of the website is the true source of truth for any brand. It's not what's anywhere else. It's not what's even on Google that matters in the future potentially. It's what's on the website that matters. And again, today, unfortunately or fortunately, it's still graphical at some level, right? People still want a pretty website that still does convert, sure. But ultimately, it will become about the data that's within the website that would allow an AI agent to make the reservation, book the appointment for the landscaper, whoever, price shop, all the things. And if that does not exist on the website or is accessible with the right integrations so that, then a brand is at a severe disadvantage. And so right now, what I'll say, the only pause to all of that is that it's like humans, I think, moves a little bit slower than the tech. Like the tech is already here, in my opinion. In my experience, it's already here. But like, like we have, let's say, some version of agentic ability, right? Like today, a McDonald's or whoever is running our platform today, like they, aka a Mark, a Chris, and anyone in your audience can be like, go update the whole Northwest regions with this promo. Like no developer, no coder, no nothing, just layman terms. Go update all the regional websites with this promo, or change all the hours with this thing. Like right now, that's a manual process. Somebody wants to go do that, they have to like go log in, figure it out, do it. But today, like with DevHub, they can literally do it all with AI. Not one customer today uses that. They still all go do it. And so, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So it's there. Again, it's new. It's only in the last 6 months. So maybe it'll take another 9 months. I don't know until people use it. But I was a little shocked because, again, there's a video on our YouTube channel where it's like we're showing some of our bigger customers are like, hey, you can do this. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. The future's here. Like, I can't believe like I can even do it now. And then nobody used it.
No one uses it. Yeah. Maybe they just go through that technology adoption scale maybe on there.
Yeah.
Something that you said was really interesting. It fits well with another digital marketer I was talking to, and basically saying, um, where people have been trying to rank on like a Google, for example, and getting very specific on, oh, go after maps and all this, and you're falling on page 20 or 500, whatever. We want to get you to page 1. Now, when people are searching on, a chat GPT, for example, it's only giving like 5 to 8 results. And where are those coming from? It is coming from the content on these websites where it is really like changed. I remember when people were saying, website, why do you even need a website? Just do a sales funnel, period. And that is going to be your website of sorts. But this is all kind of turning on its head in a way where, like you said, your partner, it's like you look at this and it's like, well, the more content has to be searchable. It has to be searchable by AI so that it knows you're relevant. That's the only way it's going to know how you're relevant, right? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's like, again, my mind just races is where I think
Yeah.
goes like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can watch it happen in real time, right? Go use deep research in Chat GPT or whatever you want to use, right? Be like, hey, I want to get my roof replaced. I want the cheapest price. I mean, just the most, and I want somebody who's very reputable in our area. So it'll go look at not Google, it'll go look at a Yelp. It'll go look at some like weird directories that you've never heard of in your life to find even the websites of those brands click on the websites. You're watching this in real time. Click on the
Yes.
websites, and then
Keep that right
based on
column open.
right, right, and then you're watching it. So again, like if you said I want cheapest price, and you don't have price on your website, it will skip your website, right? It doesn't like,
Exactly.
and like you watch it, like click on your website and it click off next website, until they find a website, and it could be some like weird ass website that does
Yes.
roofing that no one's ever heard of, but because they say pricing starts at $1,999, that's the one that gets surfaced. And it's like, holy shit, like not the national brand anymore. And it's
Yes.
like, whoa, like again, so what is the consumer one actually looking for in a more conversational tone? And then alongside of, does that information exist on your current website? And if it doesn't, that's
Yeah. I'd like your input on one other thing that this person said. They said, "Hey, tell me the number of web pages that a company has, and I will tell you what their revenue is approximately." So she was saying basically, okay, a company that has sub, I think 50 pages, 1 to 2 million tops. And it kind of went up from there. She said the companies that are doing like tens of millions of dollars, she said there's, easily thousands of web pages that they have associated with their site. You think that's a good metric?
so my gut instinct is to be like, that's so overly generic, but,
Sure, sure.
but like could work. Right? Like it could work. It's not wrong. Let me just say that. It's like not wrong, except it is so dependent on those pages, right? Like
What's
I would argue
actually
there are
on
like
them?
some
How
home
relevant?
service companies that have 50 pages that do I'm not gonna say $1 billion in aggregate will do $1 billion. And there's some that have 40,000 pages but only 50 get traffic. Like, I mean, there's a lot of like it has to be done intelligently. And yes, if all those pages are done correctly, then that statement is true. But like the correctly part is very expensive. So I haven't seen a lot of people do it the right way. Um, and time consuming, right? And a lot of people who want quick results will do it fast and cheap, which means bullshit content and, $50, whatever the hell they want to pay some, loser agency who sold them that same story. Then that's where my head goes, right? Like, cause it's like, I've seen it. Like we run audits, right? We're moving people off of wherever they're at to DevHub every day. That's literally what we do every day. They're coming off of blank platform, whatever, to DevHub. So we're having to run an audit, and they have 4,000 pages, 50,000 pages. And every time we're like, so far, in almost every case, 5% of pages get most of the traffic. So the volume of pages, almost like in some cases we're just delete them, because like you're literally getting zeros even though you have them, like, or figure out what you want to do to them. It's like, well, then how'd you generate them? And then everyone gets squirrely and weird, and then it's like, oh shit, you got scammed. All right, let's.
So just like pointless pages mean nothing, is what you're basically saying. Yeah.
There's like,
Yeah.
again, like, look, I've looked for a silver bullet my whole life in business, like the cheat
Yeah. Tell me
code.
about it.
I like, I look for it. I still look for it. It doesn't exist. It's the basics done extremely well. And it's so, there's a saying, like, whatever's like the most obvious answer is the answer. And it's like people just want to keep skipping over it to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And that's why we're like, dude, it's all about just the website. Like, nail that, and whatever you do on paid, whatever you do on SEO, advanced SEO, it'll work. But when you just keep doing hack jobs, it's just like, when are you going to stop? Like, when are you going to bring in a leader? A person is the only silver bullet. When are you going to bring in a leader, a team, to be like, stop, get everyone to listen, stop, and start doing it all the right way? It'll be an investment. There'll be a time suck, but like the dividends of that will pay decades plus.
Mhm.
But again, like, yeah.
Let me ask you, when you say the right way, like what does that entail to you?
So again, so let's say like your SEO audit, you know, shows, look, here's the most common one. What are all the services that, let's say someone does blinds. Home services is a big category for us. Home service franchise. Let's say they do blinds. Okay, we're gonna do a bunch of content pages that have all the manufacturers on there, and then all the types of blinds we do. So, okay, cool. Let's just plug that all into a chat GPT or somebody. I mean, before chat GPT, there was always content generation engines out there. So we're going to plug all of those in and we're going to generate, we specialize in Hunter Douglas blinds that do da 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 da. We specialize in da 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 da. It's like all the same words, just replacing that one word. But now we have all the manufacturer pages up. We just created 1,000 pages with all the different types of blinds. That ain't going to do shit. Like zero. Especially it's like, how is the consumer getting there? Like, is it linked from somewhere else? Are you just confusing them to just want to book an appointment? Like, there's like a real thoughtful, I mean, I'll say our better customers as a reference is Save a Tree, where they're investing in real content. And again, it's like, here's all the information about I'm making this one up, but like lantern bug in the county of Westchester in New York and what it's doing to these 3, 4, 5 types of trees, right? Like, and that takes a little bit of research, right? You're not going to hack that one together. And again, like someone has to write, and as of right now, it's more or less a human, at least for the first draft. Then it can be plugged into some chat GPT thing, whatever, like optimize it for SEO or whatever. But like, again, like there's a lot of those examples. The other one again, that's the right way to do it.
Like curated research on
Yeah.
something that actually
Yeah.
matters to somebody
It's,
like me or you.
there's
Eh,
there's a larger plumbing brand out there. They said one of their most trafficked pages is what happens when you flush kitty litter.
Interesting. Yeah.
No, I was like, really? I was like, yeah, I mean, that's a big one, And I'm like, oh shit, okay.
The cat owners are like, I ain't dealing with this, dude.
Right, and so,
Oh wait, should I have done that?
right. But it's like, well, what do you do? It's like, hey, but again, from that page, you put the call to action that's like, hey, I think my toilet's clogged. I might have done it with, kitty litter, blank brand helps fix that problem once in a while. Like you got to make it specific, and so.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. I love it. No, thanks for going down that rabbit hole with me a little bit. Um, Now I just in terms of, we talked about kind of your building and scaling from where you're at. It sounded like you had to make some really crucial leadership decisions, especially on personnel, right? When things were up and down. Tell me a little bit of learning there.
So again, my mind is reconciling into a soundbite over the last, call it 18 years. I was always the person that believed that I was definitely not special, that anyone can do anything. Any friend can do something, anybody you pull off the street, anyone that has the name of what you might be looking for, sales, marketing, customer success, whatever, in their title. If you like them, they're going to do good. And that's just the not the reality. The second part to that, and I'll go into that a little bit further, is that, and this is the first time I'm admitting this, like I look at capitalism like a sport at this point, and I always, I sadly look at it like a sport because one, I don't watch sports, but two, like it almost feels like because it's sports, there's a lack of humanity behind it, right?
Some
And
separation.
yeah, like, again, like, I mean, obviously, there's, like, the famous, you know, essay, No Rules Netflix, which is like, we pay our people ridiculously well to do a job. If they're not doing the job, they're out. And it's like, oh, that's harsh. Um, what you'll quickly learn is the only growth hack is that. And it's like, who the hell is on the team to go do the damn thing? And it's sad because again, it's not your friends in 99% of cases. It's not the person you liked in 99% of the cases. It's just the person who does the job ridiculously well, communicates well, and I don't know. It was a sad realization I've had over the last 2 years about how important it is to have team. And again, you hear it in every acceptance speech, any major accomplishment of any what seems like one individual. And you like always like, oh, come on, stop. I gotta thank this person and this person. Yeah, because no one can do it by themselves. Don't care. I think brute force, anyone can build a company. Anyone can build a company to call it 10 million bucks. I think anyone can brute force it themselves, be a dictator, be ruthless, all the shit. But to get it to the next phase, it's 100% the people that you have to align with, and they cost money. They are not sometimes the fit, and you have to make those calls earlier. And sometimes you have to go with your gut. And I don't know, it's the very hard part of business, which becomes in some ways isolating because, you think of these people, you want to think of them as friends or family or whatever. And then when you start thinking about like, again, we're from Seattle, like when Russell Wilson left Seattle and whatever, he went to Denver or wherever the hell he went. And again, I don't watch sports, so all my references will be wrong. But essentially, like when any athlete leaves the team that got them their start, right? And everyone's like, what the fuck? Da, 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 why
Right.
he's unloyal. Da, da. It's business. They
Mhm.
wanted more money. The culture fit what didn't work anymore. I mean, all the things. Like it's not this family, it's not this friendship. It's it's a team and it's a sport and it's a business and so I don't know. I look at it like now a little bit more through that lens, which has been a very, I don't know, hard lesson for me because I'm such a human person. But it's like anytime people have to work around people, right? Like yesterday I was doing a deck, unfortunately, because I didn't trust to give it to anybody else. It's like that's the tell, right? So how many pink, beige flags do you want to throw up, red flags before you're like, oh, I got to make a move? And we did. But again, it's like, it's that part sucks. That part absolutely blows. But again, for the greater good of everybody, right? Their employment, right? The future, like you have to make those calls and you got to make them quick.
Yeah.
And try your best to, somebody told me if you can get hiring right 60% of the time, like you're doing really, really well.
Interesting. Thanks for those deeper thoughts on that subject. That is it's sombering at the same time. It's understanding that, if a business doesn't exist, then it doesn't provide for anybody anyway, right?
And again,
What's
it's like, yeah, I mean, again, it depends on what the business is, obviously, too. The right people, it's a lot of, I always say like my business partner's been my business partner since I was 17, right? I've been married for however long. It's like you're either growing together, right? Or you're growing apart. Right. And some people just get stuck. Again, I heard the other day, like CEOs, like basically only get fired. and, and so again, yeah, I don't know. It is the people part. But again, I wish when people say it's the people part, they like really get into a little bit of the nitty gritty. At
Me
the
too.
same time, I sympathize so much. Like, and I do try to think about this a lot, which is like once you get to a certain place, like to talk about people is, I would say, a little bit easier, but the place that we were at for 15, 16 years, let's just call it 10 years, 14 years, whatever, a long period, at least a decade, was we were worried about payroll every 2 weeks. Like, that doesn't allow you to think about anything else. And it's like so effed because, again, our investors, our board, you need to hire, you need to get to profitability, you need to, it's like, my brain is so focused on how are we going to make payroll in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's like, until, and again, the shitty part is, and the only way to get out of that mindset is you're going to have to hire probably a better CFO, and it can't be you watching the bank account, right? Like, it's got to be like, I mean, you have to hire your way, convince somebody, part-time, contract to hire, whatever, to get those that little bit off of your plate to be able to get to the bigger picture of what you're trying to build versus this little rat race that we were in for at least a decade of worrying about payroll every 2 weeks, which is hard as fuck, especially
Yeah.
when, everyone around you is like, dude, you just need to hire better. You need to have a team. You need to have leadership. And it's like, I'm like, I'm pretty sure we're not going to make payroll.
Yeah.
So, like, none of that's going to matter. But yeah,
Do you feel like you've been able to get your headspace out of that, or do you
100%.
still feel like, oh, there's still a day we could lose it all and we could be right back there?
Yeah, I mean, in the bigger picture, yeah. I mean, again, I think every company, there is no defense forever. I mean, maybe in a weird way, like an Apple with whatever $1 trillion they have in the bank account in Ireland or something, like, you don't have to think about payroll. Um, but for the 99.9% of businesses, um, you know, I think it's always in the back of your mind that, one, two shitty, three, four, five shitty decisions in a row, can bring down an airplane, can also bring down your company. And it's like, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think about it. I mean, it doesn't, I mean, the first time I thought about it today was because you brought it up. But,
Last question on like
yeah.
kind of that side of things. What do you think about the statement slow to hire, quick to fire? You agree or disagree?
Slow down. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. One, I don't believe in references anymore. I think it's bullshit. I mean, again, that's a blanket statement. I'm sure there's a time and place. Duh. Um, I think, I heard yesterday from this CEO peer, he said, if anyone like on your team wants to hire somebody from someone that they worked with before, everyone's allowed one, but not two. So don't let anyone bring over their entire team that they worked with before. They're allowed one. Um, I don't know.
Interesting.
A tough one for me because I think anyone, it's just, again, I don't know. I hate to say it. Like, I just keep thinking about it. It's sports. Is that the person for the play? They're not the person for the play. And the play right now being the company stage, the culture, what we're trying to get done in the quarter, the next 2 quarters, the next 4 years, whatever the hell it is. And it's just like, unfortunately, like, rip them out. And again, as long as you're upfront about those things, I think people will gravitate or not, into or out of your world. But yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know. I would say I don't know. On that one, I don't know. I know slow. I prefer, I guess. I mean, probably in aggregate, yes. Hire slow, fire fast is the right one. But I also think
No, I like your answer.
hiring
It's so
slow. Well,
nuanced.
I'm telling you, we've had certain roles I feel like we've taken way too long to only realize that wasn't the right fit. So that's what I'm trying to reconcile in my head is just that experience that we've sort of had where we've gone through like, all right, we found this person. They're the best for this thing. And they weren't, AI, this, that. I mean, we had a whole process earlier this year because, I mean, again, for any company, I feel so bad. Every job posting gets like 100 applicants plus. And again, at our size, 100's a lot. I can only imagine what bigger companies are getting for a simple role. And so it's just like this. Yeah. Anyway,
let's head to kind of the future. What you see there next, even in the short term, 6 to 12 months. Where are you headed towards? What are you trying to get accomplished?
win the franchise market for us personally, selfishly, win the franchise market, develop more of DevHub's brand message. So it's like, holy shit, I have the CEO of DevHub, or any of our employees, if they ever leave us, it's like, you were at DevHub? What did they do? That's crazy. Like, how do we build brand more so, which is a hard thing to do when, everything is kind of based on the quarter and revenue and whatnot, where some of the investments in that, don't immediately pan out. But I think we have the right team in place to do that. So again,
And
building
when
brand
Yeah,
along.
when you
Yeah.
say when you say win the market in the franchise space, what does that look like? I know people who have been at like these FSOs, the franchise sales organizations, and they kind of go get those new franchise models and try and put them out there for everyone. Is it at that stage, or are you talking about like the McDonald's of the world, who are well established and just not part of
No,
DevHub
I mean,
yet?
again, I would say for us, it's really home services, wellness, anything where the ticket item is at least $50 plus, right?
They're good
And
for
you're a
you.
franchise, like that's who understands the value of websites, because that's where they're still driving a lot of their leads. Um, and so the website's worth a lot more than someone who's selling like a $9.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
for sure.
have you ever ordered a burger off of a website? I mean,
Your microphone maybe
yeah,
again.
I moved it. Damn it.
No, no, all good. There you go.
Yeah. So that.
Okay. For you, last question, like magic wand, if you could wave it and solve for something right now in your business, what would it be?
That no one around me dies.
You got the right people on the bus right now.
Yeah.
They all got to stay sitting there and doing their part.
Yeah. Yeah. As well as family and friends. Yeah.
Of course, of course. Man, it's been a really insightful interview with you, Mark. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you coming on and sharing. I love the nuanced answers. I don't like the yes or no's. I like the, well, hold on, let me think about that. And
Yeah.
that's been what's made this really insightful for me too. I appreciate you so much.
Share it with the
If
world. Let me know how I can help promote it.
Yeah, if people want to find DevHub, what is the best places to
DevHub,
look?
go to devhub.com, or we're all over LinkedIn.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Mike.